When you're working as a salesperson, you most likely have a lot of information in your head that you want to share with prospects. You likely have a lot of details around the product you sell, what it includes, what it does, the benefits it delivers. And what makes this challenging is that you really only have a small window of time or a small window of attention from the prospect. So it's figuring out how to communicate very efficiently and what to communicate in those small windows of time that is the key to your success. And the Smart Sales System will help you with that, because what we will do in the next few videos is we will take you through a step-by-step sales message brainstorming process that will help you to create an optimized set of talking points and questions for the product or service you sell. And once you have that, it will be much more clear what to say in those very small windows of time, whether that's talking to prospects over the phone or composing cold emails that you're sending to prospects that you're trying to get engaged with. And so we will actually take you through this process spread across 3 different videos. Starting with this video here, we are going to go through the first 3 steps of this 6-step process. And I just want to point out, 2 of these 3 steps should be pretty easy for you and you can move through them pretty quickly. And the third one of value might require a little bit more brain power. But one thing I want to tell you on the front end is that we actually have an AI tool that you can use to go through all of these steps and create all of this in a matter of seconds. I'll show that at the end. But I want to explain these individual steps to you, and our hope is that you understand how these steps work and what we're trying to do. That way, if you do end up using the AI tool, you will understand what's going on and be able to take what the AI gives you and build on it or change it and fix it to make it your own. So let's go through these 3 steps, and then again, I'll show you the AI tool after that. But the first step is to identify and put some details around the product that you are trying to sell. And I'm actually going to use a demonstration product as we go through these steps. And I'm going to use a product of web design services. So if we're trying to create a sales message for web design services, what I recommend you do as a first step is just put down some of the main features of the product or service you sell. After you do that, take another step thinking about your product, and I recommend you take a step to think about, how is the product that I sell different from the competition? So if we sell web design services, here are a list of example differentiation points, and that's all you have to do for this first step. And again, this should be easy for you because most likely you already have a lot of product information in your head. Once you're done with that, we move to step 2. And step 2 is to think about, who is the target audience that we are communicating with, or who is the target audience that we are trying to sell this product to. And this step also should be pretty quick for you. You might know the particular audience you're communicating with, but I want to give you some things that you can think about, because you might be able to sell your product or service into different industries. When you are selling to different industries, that could be a different sales message. Just to give you an example, at one point in my career, I sold software, and I could sell to hospitals and manufacturers and retail businesses. And the software that those businesses used and purchased from me was exactly the same set of features, but the benefits and pain points of those different industries were different. So I could focus on different hot buttons and different points when I'm communicating and trying to sell the product to those different industries. You might be able to sell your product or service to different size of businesses. When you're selling B2B, you might be able to sell your product or service to different departments of an organization. And when you're dealing with different departments, those different departments care about different things. For example, like I said, my background is software sales. I could sell software to IT, of course, but I could also sell that software to finance and to operations. The leaders of those different departments care about different things. A CFO cares about different things than a CIO. And when you're selling B2B, you probably can sell to different levels of the organization, and the different levels of an organization might care about different things as well. But don't let this get too overwhelming for you, because you can also use a broad sales message that is a message that can be used for everybody. We could just create one that targets businesses in general, or individuals, or people, and use the same message for everybody. In fact, if you're just going through this process for the first time, most of my clients, I recommend that they use a broad target audience for this step when they're first going through this, such as creating a sales message that targets businesses. And then you could come back later and go back through these same steps and create a more focused sales message that maybe focuses more on an industry or a particular department or in an organization. And for demo purposes, we are going to use the target audience of small businesses. And hopefully you can see here how important that target step is, because what we selected there determines what we come up with now in terms of our value proposition. And that's how this process helps you to create an optimized sales pitch, an optimized sales message, and create a value proposition that is powerful and positions you to get better at grabbing the prospect's attention. I actually want to take a step back and talk about the concept of value for a minute here, because value can mean different things, and it could sometimes be confusing what a value proposition actually is or is trying to communicate. So if we take a step back, let's say that you're in a relationship with someone, or you're married, and let's say that other person is a really good cook. What that means is that they bring value to the relationship in terms of cooking skills, and they deliver value to you in terms of every night a home-cooked meal. And so they bring value to the relationship. And maybe for you, you're good at fixing stuff around the house, so you bring value to the relationship in another way. And that's what we're talking about here with your value proposition, is what is the value your product or service brings to the customer? Most likely, your product creates some sort of improvement on the customer side. So we're looking for the improvements your product or service can deliver. And to help with this, I've actually created a cheat sheet here of 8 of the most common ways that most product or services help to improve things for the customers that purchase them. The first one is make something work better. We might be able to make something work easier. We might be able to decrease the amount of time it takes to do something. We might be able to increase the revenue or income for the customers who use our product or service. We might be able to decrease their costs or expenses when they use our product or service. We might be able to improve the customer's product. So when they buy our product and use it, it might mean that the product that they deliver, they manufacture, they provide is actually better. Our product might help our customers to decrease the risk of something bad happening in some way or another. Or our product might help to improve visibility and access to information. But this is just a cheat sheet, and all of these are actually improvements by themselves, but they're very plain the way they're written here. So you'd never want to just take these as the benefits that your product delivers. What you want to do is you want to take these and add in details about your product or service to make these your own. So if we get back to the process here, what we're basically trying to do here at the most basic level is create a list of improvements. We probably want to create between 3 to 6 to maybe 10 bullet points in terms of improvements our product or service can deliver to the target audience we're communicating with. So to demonstrate this with our demonstration product, when we sell web design services to small businesses, what are some improvements we can deliver? And we can look at our cheat sheet here and think about, okay, do we help to make something work better, make something easier? And so if we go through our list, we might come up with a few improvements. And here's a trick to kind of help you with this, because sometimes you can get stuck here. We can actually bring back the features we created on the previous step and look at each feature and go through the list. Does that help something to work better or whatnot? So you can go through this and you look at your features and look at the list to create improvements. And another thing you could do is you could actually bring back the differentiation we created and think of maybe the ways you're different. Does that help in some way or another? So if we go through this exercise, we might come up with an improvement of our web design services help small businesses to increase the number of leads and amount of revenue they generate through their website. And when we work with businesses, we improve the web design, layout, and look and feel of their website. And at the end of the day, we are going to increase their website traffic and improve how that website traffic converts into leads and converts into new customers. And believe me, we could continue to probably create 10 different bullet points of all the different ways this product helps the customers that we sell to. But what we've done here is we've actually reached a very good point, because what we've done is we have created our value proposition. But I want to actually show you something real quick before we move on. Let me just show you that if we used a different target audience, if instead of small businesses, if we used a target audience of selling web design services to VPs of marketing, the improvements completely change. So the product is exactly the same, but when we change who we're talking to, for example, changing to an executive inside maybe a large company, the improvements we deliver completely change. And I'll just show you a few here. We help them to augment their existing staff and skills, add new skills and ideas to the team, scale the team up and down according to the workload. And I don't want us to talk about these individual points and what they mean. The point is that these improvements are completely different from our other value proposition. When we go from selling this service, from talking to small business owners to executives at large corporations, the product is the same, but our value proposition completely changes. And this process allows you to create those different value propositions. And what does that mean? That means that you're able to change what you say depending on who you're talking to. And that means that you increase the odds of communicating better, more efficiently with the people you're selling to, increases the odds that you're able to grab their attention and focus on the correct hot button points that they care about. These 6 steps that I take you through, and each of these steps is going to create what we refer to as building blocks. So you can see here a couple of the building blocks we will have already created from these 3 steps. There's a product building block and a value points building block. And we can use these building blocks to create our sales tools and sales scripts and email messages. And I can actually show you quite a few of those in this video just from the value proposition we created alone. We can use our value prop as a cold call opener. So instead of cold calling and saying, hey, we provide web design, do you need web design? We can open with, hey, the reason for the call is we help small businesses to increase their website leads and revenue and improve the design and layout of their website. We can use our value points for a cold email. Hey, the reason for the email is we help small businesses to increase this and improve that and increase this. Are you available for a call? We can use our value points for a voicemail message. Hey, the reason for the call is that we help businesses to increase this, improve that, and increase this. I'll try you again next week. Here's my number. We can also use our value proposition as our introduction in many common sales situations. For example, maybe we're networking, or maybe we're introducing ourselves at the beginning of a presentation. Instead of saying, I work for this company and I sell this, which is what most salespeople say when they're networking. Someone says, what do you do? Oh, I sell insurance. Instead of saying that, say your value proposition. Well, what do you do? Well, what I do is I help businesses to increase their leads and revenue that they generate through their website. Now, you may go on to explain how you do that by talking about your product after that, but that's a much more sophisticated way to introduce yourself. We can also use your value proposition as a response to many common objections. When you're cold calling, a lot of gatekeepers and target prospects will ask you questions and objections like, what is this call regarding, or is this a sales call? Well, instead of responding directly by saying it is a sales call or I'm calling to see if you need web design services, you can reply with your value proposition by saying something like, well, the reason for the call is we help businesses to increase this, improve that, and increase this. And after you say that, just stop talking. Now, I'm not going to say that the gatekeeper will say, oh, I'm so glad you called. We've been waiting for a call with something like that. But it doesn't give the gatekeeper what they're looking for, which is they're looking for the indicator that you're a salesperson trying to sell something, which gives them the green light to say, we're not interested. This makes you sound more like an advisor, a business person, a business representative, which keeps you in the game and keeps you alive for a little bit longer. The homework I recommend you do at this point is just to go through those 3 steps and get to a place where you can brainstorm 3 to 6 improvements your product or service delivers. And as I mentioned, we have an AI tool that will create all of this for you in a matter of seconds, and that is inside of our software called SalesScripter. So our software actually aligns with this process that I'm taking you through, where we take you through a process to outline the value you deliver, the pain points you help to solve, the questions you should ask, and those are the steps that I'm taking you through these 3 videos. But our software also integrates with AI, ChatGPT specifically. And what you can do is all you have to do is enter the product or service you sell. And so I'm just going to enter a demo product. I'll use life insurance, and then you want to put the company you work for. There's a few other details you can put in, but then there's a clear step of the target audience. And I'm going to do young professionals. And this is a good example where, if you sell life insurance, you could sell to many different people, right? But depending on the audience you sell your insurance to, the benefits are different. The reasons for buying are different. And so we're putting in a very different and distinct audience here of young professionals, because if we sell life insurance to young professionals, there's different reasons for them to buy. And so I'm going to click start here. And what's going to happen is our software is going to communicate with ChatGPT. It's going to go through these 6 steps, and it's going to consider the product we sell and also the target audience that we are trying to sell to create a specific set of value points. And it's also going to continue to go through the next steps in our process that we're going to talk about in the next video, but it's going to create a list of pain points, pain questions to ask, and also current state questions to ask. So this is actually our sales message. So in a matter of seconds, we went through our sales message brainstorming process with ChatGPT doing all of the sales copywriting. And this usually provides a really good starting place. You definitely want to go over these points and delete the ones that you think don't fit well, and maybe customize the ones you keep to make them your own. But once you have your sales message inside of SalesScripter, then SalesScripter has a sales playbook, which is a whole library of sales scripts and email templates and a bunch of other documents. But you'll see here you get a whole bunch of different cold call scripts. And the way this basically works is the software mixes and matches your building blocks to give you a whole library of different scripts that you can use. But let's just look at one of these. Here's a value proposition intro cold call script. So over here, you see the different building blocks, and these are the different things you can talk about with a prospect, opening with your value proposition. So here's a value proposition that ChatGPT created for our life insurance when we're cold calling. Here's some pain questions, current state questions, pain points. The software also uses your building blocks to give you objection responses for a lot of the different common objections that you're guaranteed to face. And then down here, you have voicemail scripts using your building blocks for different voicemail messages. Like I mentioned earlier, we can use our value proposition as a voicemail message, just like we can use it as a cold call opener and responses to some of the objections that we face. So that is pretty much it for this module. In the next module, we will pick up and focus on how to create the optimized set of pain points you should be talking about in your sales message and in your sales script for the target audience you're trying to sell your product or service to. Now, if you like these tips, all of these tips are explained in more detail in the book called The Smart Sales System, which aligns with all of these videos that are here on YouTube and that you're watching here. If you're not aware, this video is part of a full sales training program called The Smart Sales System, and you can access a full playlist of videos that will take you through that sales training program on our YouTube channel. The playlist is called the Smart Sales System. But this is basically a full sales prospecting training program that focuses on optimizing what you say and ask when you're selling and helping you with everything from performing cold outreach to managing the sales process, getting around objections, dealing with gatekeepers, delivering presentations, closing prospects, and more. And so that is pretty much it. If you found this video to be helpful and you want to return the favor, very easy to do. All you have to do is like, comment, share this video, subscribe to our channel. Any of those help us, and none of those cost you anything. And that is pretty much it. If you have questions or you want more information, the best place to go is salescriptor.com. Thanks for being here, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.